Of applause for the NYS. Thank you so much for keeping our day warm and lovely, complimenting the sun. We are very grateful. And I'm told you will leave us before we are done with the program. If you happen to leave before we are done with this session, we want to express our gratitude for your presence and for sharing your gift with us today. So we will move on to the afternoon session now that will be chaired by Senior Faculty Mr. Simon Angote on experience sharing and best practices among schools of government towards empowering the public service of the 21st century and beyond. And this panel, this session will be led by, among others, Professor Nicholas Leting, who is the Chief Executive Officer, CASNEB. We will also be joined by our friends from the region, Mr. Mahmoud Said Adad, who's the Director General, Civil Service Institute Somaliland, and Mr. Kahiso, I hope I got his name right, Kemong from Botswana, who's the Executive Director, Botswana Public Service College. I'll be your host for the afternoon. My name is Resian Lebai. Over to you, Mr. Simon. Oh. We're also joined by Director Andrew Rory from the Kenya School of Government, Kabete. We're also joined by other directors from the Kenya School of Government who are in the audience, who will be assisting and participating in this conversation. Remember, we said we want to make it as interactive as possible because we want this not to be just a day among many other days. It is a day where you can pick one idea and run with it. And that brings the change that we're looking for, the growth that we're looking for. Because these conversations are geared towards growing national wealth and improving our global competitiveness. So let's look out for these ideas. Let's participate. Let's ask questions. Let's be active. Tufukuze baridi kidogo. So over to you, Mr. Angote. Okay. Tusonge mbele kidogo. Tusonge mbele. Wale wako nyuma. The ladies there. Those gentlemen there before Mr.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Those of you behind, apart from the National Youth Service, the rest of you moved to the forward. You're going to have experiences you've never had before. Some have heard about the schools of government. Maybe a bit of history. The OAU, what was called the Organization of African Unity, was founded on the 25th of March in 1963 by 30 African governments. Those that were not yet independent like Kenya were part of that process. They met in Addis Ababa and established the Organization of African Unity. And the purpose of the Organization of African Unity was to free Africa from colonialism and also provide a forum for Africa to speak with one voice. The spirit behind this were the late Osieka for Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. And unknown to many of you, the then advisor to Kwame Nkrumah at that time, when we were getting independence, was the late Mbiu Koinange. You know, Kenya's Mbiu Koinange, the first Kenyan to get a master's degree. So we moved on up to 9th of September 1999, when OAU transited into the African Union. The spirit behind the African Union, what we are now calling Africa Agenda 2063, is about promoting an integrated Africa. So when you see the Continental Free Trade Area and so on, is the spirit of that African Union with bodies like NEPAD, African Peer Review. I'm saying that because the issue of capacity building can trace its background to those institutions. In 1998, the African Association for Public Administration and Management, APAM, which had been founded in Dar es Salaam in 1992, the first chair of APAM was Kenya's the late Robert Ouko. Ouko was the first president of APAM in 1992, established by heads of public service. They made a decision that we needed to bring an association of what were then called Management Development Institutes, MDIs. So the idea of the MDI was born out of APAM meetings. So we had what we're now calling schools of government that came together under auspices of APAM. Florence Wangugu, what you now have as the Africa Public Service Human Resource Network, is also born out of APAM activities. Then when the African Union was established, the proposal to the African Union went on until the year 2002 when it was launched in Durban, South Africa. And at that time, you remember, Zuma's wife became the chair of the African Union. There was a minister in South Africa called Baloyi. When he left after Thabo Mbeki, he went to the UN. The African Union had inherited a paper from the OAU called LTS, Long-Term Strategy for Africa's Development. The long-term strategy for Africa's development is actually what gave birth to Africa Agenda 2063. Although we had LTS, South Africa had not interpreted that paper into thematic areas. It was not until 2007 that Kenya's Minister for Public Service, Dalmas Otieno, was elected at Windhoek, in a meeting in Windhoek, that now we made an effort here in Kenya to interpret the LTS into 12 thematic areas. The long-term strategy for Africa's development was, we interpreted and developed 12 thematic areas under what was called the Conference of Ministers for Public Service. The OAU acted, used to operate through what we call Conference of Ministers. The AU does not operate through that. The AU operates through what we call specialized technical committees. So the Ministers for Public Service, Ministers for Decentralization, and Ministers for Local Government report to the African Union through STC number 8. This thematic area we are here is an organ of the African Union through thematic area STC number 8. So Kenya interpreted the LTS, and one of the areas was the role of management development institutes that in the last 5 years have been renamed as schools of government. We used to call it AMDIN, the African Management Development Institutes Network, AMDIN. So what we are calling schools of government are not just existing in a vacuum. They are recognized as organs for governance under the new structure of the African Union. They report to the African Union to the commissioner responsible for political affairs. So ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon we have representation not from all African schools of government. For Kenyans, today is 777. Leo ni Sapa. Some normally get briefs from their countries about what happens. But I went through town in the morning. I came at 9. It was all peaceful. So this morning we are privileged to have with us, like she has introduced, the Executive Director of the Botswana Public College from Gaborone, Mr. Kagiso Kemweng. Next to him is our friend. He's done some bit of work with Mr. Rory. He is the Director General of the Civil Service Institute in Hagesia, Somaliland, Mr. Mahmoud Said Adad. And next to him, I was getting a bit of history. Dr. Mwanzi, and may it please you to note that this school also gave birth to KASNEP. The Kenya Accountants and Secretaries National Examinations Board was born here. The founder of KASNEP was a European teaching at KIA. Then he was succeeded by J.J. Nyaka. J.J. Nyaka used to teach finance and used to be a member of the National Budget Development Committee. He used to wear striped suits. He used to work with Habel Nyamo. Nyaka was the chief examiner for KASNEP in finance, accounting, central government accounting. Later on, James Omolo Kaila became the examiner for local government accounting. I knew my friends. I was telling Professor Leting that my KASNEP number is 987. We were the founders of the accounting profession in Kenya, and I used to do my classes with the current man at Strathmore, McPhee. Yeah, he was our lecturer at the Strathmore in Lavington next to St. Mary's. We were the first users of Business Accounting Volume 1 by Frank Wood, Edition 1. Even when he revised it, we were the first users of that book. So after Nyaka, we had SM Kitau.
Erastus.
Erastus. Yes. Yeah, Kitau was my boss. Then after Kitau, we had Duati. Duati was the fourth CEO of Kasnep. The fifth CEO of Kasnep is none other than Professor Leting. Professor Leting was also at one time the CEO of KIM, the Kenya Institute of Management. He was the founder of the African Management University, and he was also their first vice chancellor. In the Ministry of Public Service, we had wanted to professionalize what is called management consultancy services. My then minister, Dalmas Otieno, invited Leting, and we had actually prepared a program for professionalization of management consultancy services. And apart from this, we have FCPA Andrew Rory. Kenya has a program of fellowship for professional accountants. Among the few who got fellowship last year, you are together?
I got earlier.
You got earlier. So we have fellowship, fellows of the institute here. Unknown to many of you, Andrew provides a lot of advisory to Parliament on issues finance. When they are coming up with new laws, Andrew is normally a member of that team. Andrew Rory. But he is representing the Director General, who has also empowered his directors, and therefore I now have his permission to let you know who they are among those who are present here. I'll begin. Dr. Priska Olwach is the director responsible for partnerships and collaboration. You will see her active in this program because this is part of our partnership arrangement. Next, we have Dr. Wesley Kiprop. Dr. Wesley Kiprop has one strength of networks, networking. He's the current director, Kenya School of Government in Baringo. Baringo, for those of you who come from outside, is the home to Kenya's second president, longest serving president, His Excellency the late Daniel Doroitich Arap Moi. And when Ambassador was presenting here about products that are protected, he comes from the area where we produce the Koriema honey. Next is our senior director academic affairs, Dr. Josephine Mwanzia. Mwanzia, by the way, these people bring different strength. Priska brings us private sector strength because she worked for a long time with the Federation of Kenya Employers. Wesley worked with the Ministry of ICT. Before that, he worked with the county government as a PS, the first cohort of PSS in the county governments. So when we talk about matters decentralization, we have somebody who talks from practice. Dr. Josephine Mwanzia worked with the Ministry of Education, and after her scholarship, after her PhD from New Zealand, she came back to the Ministry of Public Service. I was privileged to work with her, and she worked on a lot of policy papers with our then Minister for Public Service. She brings a lot of depth in interrogating public policy documents. Next, we have Dr. Anne Kangede. Dr. Anne Kangede is the director, Kenya School of Government, Embu. Unknown to many of you, Dr. Anne Kangede was a classmate to our current PS, Dr. Jen Kere Imbunya. They were together for the undergraduate classes. But I'll tell you a story about her also with Dr. Mwanzia, Rory, and Dr. Mukabi, because they also worked in same area. Next to Dr. Kangede is Director Gashire. When I was in the ministry, I met Kashire. She comes from a background. Those of us who went to school in the 70s and 80s, we had programs about women in leadership. So I met her. We were running a program for UN Women, a program across the country. And initially, I thought she was an activist, but she has a very strong voice on issues of diversity. She is director in charge of the Gender Institute at the Kenya School of Government. The only place she will be telling you about how we respond to the needs of the society, designing programs like to address gender-based violence and others, she will tell you, including female genital mutilation. Behind them is a young, healthy gentleman. Dr. Mukabi is the current director. Yeah, I should have introduced their deputies. Yes, I should. I'm coming that side. Dr. Mukabi is in Mombasa as director. His deputy here is Dr. Sargon. He has asked questions 3 times here. For Kalede, we have he has forgotten your name. Sema. Bashir is from Embu. Mukabi Sargon is not here. But Mukabi has publications even in HR and research. Yes. You can see when we are doing a lot of business with the federal government of Somalia and the federal member states. And what gives them a lot of confidence is when they come and Taufik talks to them and they feel at home. So we get business through that connection. The next one, we have an institute here, Elite, the e-learning. I think it's the only one in the continent now that is running programs on artificial intelligence. We have Dr. Engineer Ndungu. I have not left anybody out. Huh? Huh? No, the directors, the bosses. But there will be people here when you want to talk about how does the Kenya School of Government, for example, respond to developmental needs in order to transform public service for the 21st century. There are people here who would also talk about, because we even have our manager HR services, we have hospitality people here. So they can tell you how we work together with the other, what traditionally people would call non-core functions to do the business. Now allow me to come to our business. We have between now and 4. Let it not be like yesterday with which we are very lucky because we had only 1 hour. We have 1 hour and 10 minutes. But we know how to stretch. And because they are 4, 30 minutes, that will be 15. They'll get each 10. 10 minutes, meaning we would have time for interaction. So we're going to begin, and we are looking at is experience sharing, by the way. Is experience sharing. How have they contributed towards the development of public sector institutions fit for 21st century needs? That is Dr. Sargon, Dr. Mukabi's colleague. We introduced you when you are away. So it's my pleasure and privilege now to invite Professor Leting. KSG will be the last one. The honors cannot come here and threaten people that, this is what we do. Let's hear from you. Karib Sana. And Dr. Leting has just published a book. There's a big book you see me carrying. From Vision to Action in Public Policy.
You can clap for him. Thank you very much. Okay, so it's always a pleasure for me to be back here. For those who know me, may not know me, my name is Professor Nicholas Leting. I am the current Chief Executive Officer and Secretary of KASNEP, which is a government parastatal dealing with capacity building for accountants and secretaries of Kenya. The origin of KASNEP was here. I'm yet to find the specific location, but Angote, somewhere here. I want to go and take a photo there because there's an old photograph of an old building where KASNEP started from, and that is where we started our journey as KASNEP. So I have a brief presentation I'll be making for 10 minutes so that I can take another 10 minutes for questions or interactions from capacity building to state capability, experience sharing, and best practices among schools of government. KASNEP is not really a school of government, but it is a support system of school of government because we are an extension of Kenya School of Government. And we believe that empowering public service for the 21st century is the way to go. And the way Mr. Angoda said, I have worked with Kenya Institute of Management for several years. I was among the founders of the Management University of Africa, which is now a fully chartered private university. CASNEP has been able to produce the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. It has also been able to produce the Institute of Certified Investment and Financial Analysts of Kenya, the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya. And then ISPAC, which is the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, has set up a university called KCA University. So we are very proud of the success of this Kenya School of Government. And congratulations to the school for celebrating the 100th anniversary. And whose topic this week, as we celebrate, is policy dialogue on building national wealth and global competitiveness. Next is a very short brief on, I request the person assisting me to move. The issue of competitiveness of a nation is ultimately determined by the capability of its public institutions and the capability of its people, the public servants, and depends on the competences, integrity, and adaptability of the public servants. We expect public servants to be able to run the operations of their businesses, whether they are sagas, whether they are parastatals, whether they are schools of government everywhere. Next, then it talks about the global public service context. In my understanding is that, and today in the morning we had a presentation by several people in the morning. One of the things that is going to change public service, Panangote, who is session chair, is that AI and digital disruptions are reshaping governments. Things are going to be changing. There will be no more carrying of huge files as you used to do in the 70s or 80s. You will be going with digital devices that can be used to prepare reports and speeches. Citizens expect faster, transparent, and responsive services. Gone are the days when we used to have a letter written to public service and it takes several times. Today, you can get replies as soon as possible. Therefore, governments must address increasingly complex challenges that are facing the people, the citizens of our country. What are some of Africa's opportunities? Africa's opportunities include building as resilient, ethical, and innovative public-driven institutions or innovation-driven public institutions. What that means is that institutions that are schools of government or national schools of government are expected to be innovative. They have to come up with the innovation, e-learning, teaching methods of the participants who will be coming. Remember, the persons we are dealing with are adults. For those of you who are teachers, I'm not a teacher, but I'm a friend of teachers, is that they teach about pedagogy for young people. But teachers of adult learners, the concept of andragogy is where you teach adult learners, where you allow each one of them to participate and make a contribution. So we need to develop the opportunities for Africa because you have a young, youthful population, is you have to develop future-ready leaders. And then, of course, leverage on regional collaborations among schools of government. Earlier on, a few minutes ago, you remember Angoda has mentioned about the history of African Union, the genesis of Organization of African Union, Union, bringing up to the Agenda 2063 of Africa. So we need to leverage on the partnerships we have in Africa, partnership with other schools of government in the US, in Canada, in New Zealand, and Australia, among very many others as you are aware of. What about Kenya? Kenya's moment is like this. KSG celebrates the centenary celebrations today, this week, and provides an opportunity to reimagine public service capability for the next century. In the next 100 years, what are some of the quick wins for this country? What is the role of the School of Government? This morning, I came very early. I went and met some very young people there going for attending a seminar here in this place. They were taking their breakfast. I also took breakfast from there. So the future is young people. So how do we prepare them? Remember in the morning we discussed, yesterday and today there's been a discussion about intergenerational group. I want to believe that Angote is probably like a baby boomer. They are Generation X people, Generation Y, or millennials. They are alphas. And of course, there are Gen Zs who are now coming up to the market. So those are some of the people we need to bring them together and realign them to the future of this great nation and the rest of Africa. We have here Botswana, we have here Somaliland, and those are some of our partners we are knowing. So now, in terms of evolution of the public service from public administration, I was privileged to share a class with the current Director General of this school in Lower Kabete campus here, of the University of Nairobi. We did BCom. And we used to come here and we used to call this place Kenya Institute of Administration in the early 90s. And we used to see administrators coming for training, DCs, DOs of those days. And the way they were being addressed in the 20th century is that the behavior and the characteristics of those people were administration. Today they are looking at the performance. The future is looking at transformation. And one of our theme items today is about transformation this year. In the 20th century, rule-based movement policy. Now we are looking at results-based. In the future, we shall be looking at innovation-driven performance or efforts. We have been carrying a lot of papers. The people in the 70s used to carry huge books. I've written a book there, which is, I wanted to remind Ngote, that's how he used to carry a book when he was in A-level, with an academic angle. But those are things have gone. Maybe I'm going to give my also a soft copy of that book, which is less paper. So digital government, we are going to operate a digital government. We have seen our president is able to lead cabinet meetings without papers, only devices. AI-enabled government is going to be in the 21st century or tomorrow and beyond. Hierarchical leadership used to be there. There used to be bureaucracy, hierarchy, all the way from the highest positioned person until the lowest person there. Today, we are dealing with collaborative leadership. And in the future, it will be called networked leadership. Information management was happening in the 20th century. The 21st century is about knowledge management. And in the future, we are talking about intelligence management. Previously, we used to talk about compliance. Now we are talking about accountability. And then we shall be talking about public value creation. What value do you bring to the citizens of our country? In the past, we used to call them training. And today, we are calling it continuous learning. In the future, we are going to call it lifelong capability or lifelong learning. So today's public servants must combine both technical and competence and ethical leadership, digital fluency, and adaptive leadership to deliver public value in an increasingly complex world. We deal with 4 generations at workplace. So for 100 years, the Kenya School of Government of Kenya has been developing leadership, competences, and values that have been an effective, ethical, and citizen-centered public service. What will be the next 100 years? We expect that will be changed to better role. So the role of public schools, the role also of schools of government in public sector transformation have been, among other things, supporting devolution. In 2010, Kenya promulgated a constitution which is no longer new. At that time, it was new, and came up with devolution. In this school of government, there is a devolution space that is happening. Public finance management, of course, we know Rory has been very good in teaching this to many people. Who is one of your directors in this school, among other people. But performance management is one of the things that is offered here. Strategic leadership development. I'm a graduate of this place of 2019 during COVID, up to around 2020. Digital learning, citizen-centered service delivery. I just wanted to remind people what the roles of this school here is. Performance management, those are some of the reforms. Results-based management, public finance management, and service delivery. And the impact of that has been improved efficiency and effectiveness and accountability of citizen service. So, in terms of the devolution support that schools are supporting in Kenya, for example, and as I share this experience with other people from other countries, is about county government capacity building, which this school is able to do over the years. In the last 15 years or so, the issue of leadership development in partnership with other bodies, public participation and local governance. And then this has led to county institutional capacity and service delivery. Next is about, remember we are talking about experience sharing and best practices among schools of government towards empowering the public service of the 21st century. Now, some of the best practices going into the future, in my own estimation, is that there will be more AI-enabled public service. Many universities are now using AI to teach their students. I do not expect Kenya School of Government or other schools of government in Africa or the world to not to move with the technology space. we expect to have future-ready leaders who will take over from the generation of leaders who are there. Innovation in government is the way to go. How can we solve problems that are facing our country, our continent, and our world? Climate change, the issues of environmental social governance are going to be here with us for some time. And for us to make decisions, we must have used data, analyzed data. There's a discussion or a transition from paper-based conversation to data-driven decision-making and regional leadership in Africa. So in all these days, I can say, in my own independent observation of Kenya School of Government, the strength of Kenya School of Government has been in leadership, governance, ethics, innovation, and public value. And now, the next century begins today. And what will we be measuring from? We said the future of our nation will not be determined by the abundance of our natural resources. Earlier on, there was a discussion around natural resources, but by the capability of our public institutions and our public servants who will be working. And the capability of public institutions depends on how intentionally we develop the people who serve them. Remember, in 2020, there was a COVID-19 pandemic. At that time, the public servants were not even ready to work from home. The government was very fast in preparing a policy on remote working arrangement. And I think from there has been conversations and implementation of working at home or remote working with a blend. Even meetings are now done virtually. People can have a meeting. You don't have to before 2020. I used to be a board member in another place, and 2 weeks before, I would be given huge files to come and prepare for the meeting of the board, where I was a board member. And some of the board members, I would open them because I'm a scholar. Some of the board members would be given the files, and they come and open the file in the meeting, and they would be asking questions which already answers have been provided for in the board pack. So, going into the future, we shall be looking at training to capacity building, from knowledge to increased innovations, and from institutions to ecosystems. I am happy that this place is like a complex. We have so many activities happening here. There was something happening somewhere in the morning and in different locations within this place. So it's an ecosystem of very many activities and processes and outcomes happening here, from national success to continental and world leadership. I look forward to a time when we shall be able to host international leaders in this place coming from other countries. Now, a shared legacy, the history of this institution cannot be written off without discussing about a shared purpose, which is KASNEP came from here. In 1969, before 1969, the late President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta set up a task force to establish an institution that will Africanize some of the positions which were occupied by the white people or the Indian people. And one of the recommendations was to establish an institution which eventually became Kenya Accountants and Secretaries National Examination Board, that was responsible for training and certifying accountants and certified public secretaries. There were 2 courses that were offered at Kenya Institute of Administration under KASNEP in 1969. On the 24th of July, about 2 to 3 weeks from today, we will be celebrating 57 years since that was happened here in Kenya Institute of Administration then, and now Kenya School of Government. So that history, we have worked together and we have produced over 50,000 qualified accountants from KASNEP, who some of them started here, and there was one long-serving chief executive officer of KASNEP called Erastus Kitau, who started this training also here, and I'm sure Banangote remembers him also very well. Shared outcomes, competent public servants, that's what you expect to see. Ethical leadership, good governance, accountability, effective service delivery. And therefore, I wish to say that while Kenya School of Government develops leaders who shape public institutions, KASNEP develops professionals who sustain them. Together, we strengthen the capability, integrity, and performance of Kenya's public service. I want to assure Kenya School of Government, as a good child, as a good student, as a product of this institution, having done several courses myself, and even being recommended to be an alumni leader, I want to say that there is an assurance that we can tell this place that as CASNEP, as myself, we commit to work together to achieve the mandate of the school. Next, as I wind up my presentation, thank you very much.
Proud alumni of the school. Professor Leting is also faculty in the program we call Accounting Officers Program. We have run a series of those programs, and he has a very interesting session for accounting officers. For us, Dr. Mwanzia, the pick from him, he gives us assurances. You know, as a school, we try and look at, are we meeting those expectations? Are we already there, or are there new challenges? And you can get a few picks from him that this school is expected to support devolution, to support public finance management reforms, to support performance management, to develop strategic leadership competencies, and to have people embrace AI. And that's the pick. And he's given to talk to us about the philosophy that we have to adopt in the design of programs, moving from training to capability building, knowledge to increased innovation, the question of institutions to ecosystems, the question of national to continental and world leadership. I think it gives a lot of satisfaction to Dr. Mwanzia that Professor Leting, Dr. Mwanzia has a curriculum here on innovation. They have a program here for future foresight, right? Strategic foresights. They have those programs. They have the AI, our assurances. Can we appreciate Professor Leting? Next is the director from Hargeisa. They are sharing experiences. You will learn from how are they doing it. And he has told us that in this century, this is a century for collaborations. So when we find we have a strength and we can work with any of this, it gives us a chance through partnerships and collaborations to look at potential areas of collaboration where they have a strength and where we also have a strength, and look at how those can be harnessed for Africa's development. Tumkaribishe kwa makofi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I try to make it short and sharp. Primarily, let me introduce myself shortly. I'm Mahmoud Haddad, the Director General of Somaliland Civil Service Institute. I'm privileged to be here at KSG. I primarily would like to appreciate and thank the KSG team for having here on board. Particularly, let me thank to the Director General of the Kenya School of Government, Professor Noor Mohammed, and my senior friend, Dr. Andrew Rory, and the other senior KSG team. I also like to thank the other panelists in this session, and I would like to share Somaliland Civil Service Institute's achievements, and particularly we'll try to align this, how those experience could be transferred to regional and continental as well as beyond. Just shortly, those of you who are not familiar with Somaliland, it is a partially recognized country in the Horn of Africa, and it actually secured its independence back from the rest of Somalia in 1991. Just to make it specific for Somaliland Civil Service Institute, called CSI, it is 21 years old now. Civil Service Institute has been established in 2005. And I think we were honored that our 20 years anniversary was attended by Dr. Andrew Rory and other officials from the KSG. Somaliland, as you might be familiar with, is a peaceful and a developing country. When it comes to the civil service, we do have around 50,000 public servants, as we are 6.5 million people. And I think as all the public servants, whether Somaliland or beyond, there are some common shared areas that actually need to be improved in Somaliland and beyond. Despite I was lately informed that I will be a member of panelist, I will share my experience shortly to put the areas that I consider as most important that African public servants, particularly the public schools, might need to consider. I would like to thank that KSG is working on harmonizing the public schools, particularly in Africa, so that they work together to achieve a common goal. 2 months before I attended in Addis Ababa, the same forum, it was particularly the Association of African Business Schools. And not only the African business schools attended, but also other international public schools also attended the event. And the idea was actually that we do have the same agenda in all public schools in Africa and beyond. And this team that was given today also contributes to having an African business, African public schools who are actually working on the same values and same objective. And this is, I think, the things that we could secure a good governance and I think a good, efficient public servant. I just summarized the 5 areas that public schools might work on so that we improve our governance in public sector. The first one is integrity and accountability. This is the first one that public schools and public servants must work on to make sure that our public servants perform their best of skills and knowledge. And when it comes to accountable public servants, is the only reason I think that we could secure an accountable governance and accountable public servant. The second thing we need to mention is we need to have a citizen-centered service delivery. We are more familiar with in Africa, the kind of service delivery that we do is mostly centralized to certain specific areas. For example, in Somaliland, I think service delivery is more centralized to the capital city, Hargeisa. But as you go beyond and go to the regions, you may receive less service compared to the capital city. And as being here in Nairobi for quite some time, I'm also familiar, it is the same. When you go to Mombasa and when you go to Wajir, you feel different from the services that are available here. And we need to make sure that the same services available here are also available in the other regions so that we decentralize. And actually, it is the competent public servants who will make, able to deliver this, decentralization. Also, as a public schools, we need to work on professional competence and continuous learning. If we make sure that we do have a public servants who are competent and are improving the skills, I think we could guarantee that our fellow citizens will receive the kind of service that we need. So we need to make sure that our public servants are competent and enabling so that they are able to handle with the duties that were assigned by the states. Also, we also, as has already been mentioned by Professor Johnson and some other colleagues, as the global, and the Africa itself is also working on digitalizing, we need innovational and digital transformation. Yeah, I think in the last 2 months ago we visited the Ethiopia Innovation Hub, and I think I appreciate their effort on digitalizing the service so that things make easy. And as has already been mentioned this morning by the ambassador, we appreciate that Kenya has already secured its first rank when it comes to digital transformation. So we need those kind of experience to be transferred to all the other African states so that we work together. Some areas we need to compete, but some areas we need to collaborate. And collaborate could be secured a total achievement, and that's what we recommend. We also need, in the areas of improvement, collaboration and result orientation. Collaboration could be achieved with a collective effort, and we need to be results-oriented states. Particularly, the public schools must work on training people so that the public servants might become, result-oriented. That's why Professor Johnson has already added that we need to provide a capacity building program is based on result-based management, and that's what we do here in Somaliland. We try to provide RBM, result-based program management, for public servants so that they deliver based on results rather than only restricted to objectives. We need to secure results so that we make impact for our public institutions and for our fellow citizens. If those are the 4 areas that need to be improved, there are also things we need to avoid, and those things would actually complement from the areas we need to improve as well. Let me just elaborate. Africa is familiar with corruption, and this is not something we need to be ashamed. Yeah, because this is the things that. So we need to introduce our public servants that the approach and the techniques that they should avoid corruption and misuse of public resource. This is, I think, if we utilize our resource properly, we could reach out to the developing countries or the developed countries, as already been said. We have actually natural resource in everywhere in Africa. We are rich of all the natural resource, as other countries have already utilized the resource, but the resources has not yet been fully utilized, and the misuse is common in Africa. So we need to afford, and we need to introduce our public servants how they should afford this. This could also be secured having a factional laws and rules. We also need to avoid political bias in professional duties. Public servants, as all the other African laws mentioned, as we are familiar here in Somaliland, they are impartial, and they should not be politically obsessed. They need to professionally understand that they are neutral and professionally impartial for the citizens. So we need to introduce them to understand those issues. Also, the challenge what we have in public schools and also in all African institutions, as I went through many African countries, is resistance to change. We are not because if an at home is when we are growing at home, there is a norm that usually our kids are not interested in change. If you just like to inform your kid that you have changed his room to other one, he may resist as a 10 years or 15 years old. We need to start from home and up to the public institutions so that our public servants might be familiar with the change. And unless we are able to welcome the change, we will not be able to secure the change our leaders are thinking. There are also bureaucratic delays that we are familiar with. There are some common, there are African countries, I have studied, some of them whom the, public servants were not interested in, in working on you, just like a very simple assignment that the public servant might do today. They will say, can you go back to next week, please? Can you back? So, and you will get demoralized and demotivated of securing this service. So we need public servants who are very responsible and passionate about the work and who are able to do the work that's today and not delay for tomorrow, removing the bureaucracy at public office. The last point I want to mention to afford is we need to introduce our public servants, what we call working in isolation. Just like that, a public servant might not secure, performing the work offices efficiently if he or she tries to work solely or personally, unless he or she cooperates with other public servants. And what we know is that public service is a chain, and unless they work together, or just like not only at personal level but at an institutional level as well, if those institutions who have working relationships might not work together, I think that the result is that are mentioned on our vision, on our national development plans, on our transformation plans might not be secure. So we need to avoid working in isolations. Last but not least, there is one key takeaway that I want you to specifically mention, remember about Somaliland public servants especially. I just want you to remember that and this is the norm that we say there in Hargeisa and Somaliland. Somaliland public servants are the most resilient in Africa, and as we said, in the world as well, because they have worked very hard in a country that was unrecognized in so many years, has struggled so many challenges, political challenges, but now those public servants have shown the resilience to work on their nation and to contribute to the Africa and the world. Thank you very much.
Director Mahmoud Saad is from the Civil Service Institute in Hargeisa. If you understand the history of East Africa, Hargeisa has the longest military runway in this part of the world. Go to a place and go to Barbara, very beautiful places. He has proposed to us about what the focus in training should be, and this fits into what Professor Nyang Yong told us yesterday. That's what he has talked about. And he talks about a number of us in our programs repeat the question of issues of corruption. He's talked about that. He's talked about the misuse of public resources, the need for political neutrality, the common problem of managing resistance to change. In the common practice, this is public service. We don't have it today. Just reflect, because we're preparing for us to raise questions. When she emerges to ask us to make contributions, you may ask a question or share experience in those areas they have talked about. Allow me to recognize Mr. Marube. When, my eyes are also going. Could you be upstanding? The school has a campus between itself and Tanzania. Towards the Tanzanian border, we have Kenya School of Government campus in Matuga. The acting boss there is that gentleman behind there, Marube. If you go to the place, you will find a lot of oxygen. But the greatest amount of oxygen at the Kenya School of Government campuses is in Baringo. If you want to get a lot of oxygen, go to Baringo. Our second last person is the executive director of the Civil Service College from Botswana, Mr. Kagiso. Kindly come and share with us the experience of Botswana. And you may want to give them a bit of Pula, the money. Let them know the money.
Thank you very much, facilitator, and good afternoon to all of you. I was trying to contain myself when I was seated there, because I saw in the screens there was this Pamoja. It threw me back to a little more than 2 years or 3 years ago when we were in Cairo. And I wanted to forget that experience. Now the facilitator has just asked somebody from Tanzania to stand up so that he can give him recognition. It now opens the wound even wider. Then I was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Culture in Botswana. And I led the administrative delegation together with the football politicians to Cairo for the bid, for the 2027 bid. And we lost to Pamoja. I was trying to imagine what this Pamoja is. So I'm just reminded, but congratulations, Kenya, congratulations, Tanzania, congratulations, Uganda. Thank you very much. My name is Kagiso. Kagiso means peace. Kitso means knowledge. Kemoying. Kemoying is a difficult name even for Botswana. But it's a question. Where I come from in Botswana is the place where the names are asking questions. Kemoying is what is the state of affairs? And it's still difficult for Botswana. It was easier for the English when I studied in the UK, because they just said, what's up? Which is what the name means. What's up? What's the situation? Thank you very much. I'm the executive director of the Botswana Public Service College, starting from the beginning of 2024. The Botswana Public Service College, if we can move the slides so that I make the 10 minutes, thank you very much. But before maybe I go further, it's just to thank the Kenya School of Government for having invited me to come and be part of this occasion. And more than that, to also give me a platform to make a presentation. I've learned a lot in the past 2 days, that's yesterday and today. And I think this is the beginning of good things to come between us and the Kenya School of Government. The Botswana Public Service College was established through a presidential directive in 2008. It was established under the Directorate of Public Service Management. The responsibility or role that we are given as the college is to close performance gaps within the public service. By upskilling, if you can move the slide, thank you very much. By upskilling the public servants. Somebody can flip the screen for me? Thank you. We are closing performance gaps by enhancing skills and capabilities of the public service. Now, prior to 2008, our institution was referred to as the Botswana Institution of Administration and Commerce. It was popularly known as BIAC. I can say that louder outside Botswana. I don't want to say it in Botswana because it affects my branding. I'm no longer BIAC, I am BPSC. But as BIAC, when I look at the mandate of the KSG, that was the mandate of BIAC. BIAC offered credit-bearing courses. Botswana Public Service College in 2008 was stripped of the credit-bearing courses. We were restricted by government into closing performance gaps. That is to say, the ministries or government departments and SOEs, they identify the problems within themselves, and they then refer these gaps to us as the college to put together programs that will then help them to close those performance gaps. So we're more or less like a clinic where sick people out there in the public service are referred to us, and we give them injections so that they go back better people. That's what more or less we are doing as the Botswana Public Service College. Our strategic direction is transforming the public service capacity and driving digital transformation as a college, and also strengthening leadership and governance together with expanding access through modern learning. We can move on, thank you. Now, unlike other colleges which boast so many trainers, unfortunately as a college we have only 7 full-time trainers. This number has dropped from what used to be 17. We've deteriorated down to 7. I guess this was a result of frequent transformations within government. But we are still expected to carry a huge load of capacitation of the public service. Now, to compensate for that, we do engage from time to time. We have a pool of what we call associate trainers. These are the people who we do not employ full-time, but they remain in the pool. We call them as and when we need them so that they help us to drive our mandate. We also do have researchers and consultants. 5 of them are within the public service, and we do have 1 who we resort to if we need to as a consultant. Now, I spoke about these associate trainers. These are called on, as I said, to augment our internal capacity and our program delivery, in our program delivery. Some of these associate trainers, we secure them or source them through collaborative partnerships with ministries, departments, and government agencies, MDAs, as we call them. We capacitate, we identify this, and then we capacitate them through trainer for trainers programs, because you can be an expert, but if you're not a trainer, it'll be difficult for you to transmit your knowledge to other people. So we try to capacitate them through that program. We have in the country what is called the Institute of Development Management, IDM. We also have what is called the Botswana National Productivity Center. That's supposed to see to productivity in the country across the board. Now, the 3 institutions, including us as the Botswana Public Service College, the process of merging them is at an advanced stage in the country, because government believes that we were duplicating, or they were duplicating mandates through having the 3 institutions. So this merger is looming. It started in 2022. All things being equal, by the end of the year, we should now be one entity. In terms of our strategic role, I have tried to outline it earlier on. We are a national institution for public service capacity building. We serve all ministries, departments, and government agencies, including SOEs, and we see ourselves as a key enabler of the public sector reforms. Now, in terms of our core challenge, we preside over transiting from a traditional training provider into a transformation provider, a modern, high-impact public sector capacity institute. That's what we set to do. In terms of project quality and assurance, I said earlier that in 2008, we were transformed into, or rather, government restricted us into closing performance gaps away from giving non-credit courses. Over a period of time, that was sort of became suicidal in a way to us, because offering non-credit bearing courses, people began to believe that our institution is not an institution of substance. So we have since started the journey back to restore ourselves into a credit-bearing organization. We have set off to seek registration with the Human Resources Development Council. We have lined up 8 courses, 12 courses, 8 of them are already registered. We are also lining up for accreditation with the National Accreditation Body, the Botswana Qualifications Authority, just so that we restore our credibility, and just so that also our trainers are also accredited, and so that they can also compete meaningfully in the market. As I said, as an ETP, to this point, it's about closing performance gaps. Moving forward is about issuing credible courses. In August last year, we transited, or rather we introduced online courses through the learner management system. These online courses, they are to help us improve the numbers or access bigger numbers of the public servants. This is a program through which public servants train at their own pace, at their own spaces. As I said, this started in August last year. With that, armed with that, we had intended to increase our target, and we set ourselves a target of 10,000 people to have trained by the end of the financial year, which ended in March 31st this year. Unfortunately for us, the economic transformation dictated otherwise. We were then restricted from some of the plans that we had, because prior to the online learning, we had targeted 80% of our programs to be outreach. Outreach meaning that we are taking the training away from Gaborone, we are visiting public servants in their respective villages and towns on the countryside. Unfortunately, that stopped, but by the time it was halted, we had registered 5,212 people, but we had only been able to train 4,839, which amounted to 93% achievement. We move on. Thank you. Now, these online courses, as I said, they are mounted through what we call a learning management system. It's meant to expand our reach and accessibility of public service training programs nationwide. Now, overall in this program, we offer 11 programs. 4 of them we started with. We are now in the 3rd cohort. First and second cohort, we're having 4 courses. Now we've since increased the number to 11. The idea is to keep on loading even our traditional courses into the learner management system, so that we can increase the number of people that we train. We move on. As I said, our courses are also offered to SOEs, state-owned entities. This is the government's view of ensuring that even the state-owned entities deliver. When there are ills, we are brought in to try to iron out those ills, so that state-owned entities can also help the public service to bring about the anticipated good performance. Our courses up to this point are for free. The people who come to the college are those identified by the respective MDAs. They identify these people, identify their weaknesses, and then they refer them to us to close those gaps. Now, over and above the online course that I've just spoken about, we are on the way to introducing what is called the International Certification on Digital Learning. You might be aware of it. It's the ICDL program. This is meant to bring public servants who are not very conversant with gadgets. This is meant to bring them to speed with the use of gadgets, the use of keyboard, the appreciation of electronic screens, and so forth. Now, I spoke about online courses, and I spoke about the 3rd cohort that we are in, having started in April this year. what you see there is a demonstration or an illustration of the uptake of the different courses that we offer. The green shows the people that we have enrolled. The red shows the people who have completed. The process remains ongoing. So far, we have registered 8,160, and those that have completed for now is 584. We move on. And in terms of our training programs, which are not online learning, we have trained a total of 1,283 since April 1 up to this point. And out of the 1,235 that had registered, you would ask yourselves, how have we trained more than the people who have come forth? We offer virtual courses. In the most, people will bring the numbers to us, will bring the people to us that we should train. And on the day of the program, we have a higher turnout than it's registered. It just gets to show how popular our training has become, and this amounts to 103.9% of completion rate in the courses, not online courses, the normal college courses. We move on. We have also recently come up with what is called, what we refer to as talks, seminars, and symposia, where we want to also be relevant in the leadership discourse in the country. The first one we had recently, it was on workplace bullying. We have another one coming on the 18th of August this year, and then several others that will be following. We just want to participate on issues that are topical during the time of the year. We were also involved in research initiatives, as you see in the screen. We are working on the development of a public service research strategy, data and knowledge management, study on digital transformation and its impact on service delivery, and digital literacy survey. Now, this last one is an interesting one. We went to ministries to say, your permanent secretaries, are they digitally competent? Are they digitally literate? So we gave them a simple questionnaire so that we can be able to rate them. You should have seen the results that came out from there. Leaders of ministries who run short in this space. But at least it helped us to be able to know what is it that we have to do to close that performance gap. And last but not least, to create more awareness and to source more people, to attract more people to come for training so that we can work in these performance gaps, we visit ministries and hold meetings with accounting officers and the executives of the respective ministries. We also visit SOEs and parastatals and also engage them, tell them what we do, and get them to identify people that they want to send to the college so that we can continue to help them to improve in what they are doing. In that, thank you very much for attentive listening.
I'm reminding him that I'm the only person in this place who can pronounce their capital city correctly, Gaborone. You know, their capital city is Gaborone. And he's Cameroon. You know, I'm the only one who can also pronounce. Those of you who have been around, Dr. Kageda, you remember our history. What we used to have was the Human Resource Development Division and the GTIs. Yeah, we know we have that evolution. You have experiences you can share when we have our session. Our next person here to make a presentation. Just waiting. I'm picking this paper because the director from Harkesia came with a colleague, Director of Planning and Statistics of the Civil Service Institute Somaliland, Abdi Rahman Ibrahim Mohammed, just to stand up and wave. Appreciate him. Rory will tell you they are very hospitable people. He's been there for a program. We are supposed to have done some program for the cabinet sometime back in December. Priska, you remember the December the other year. So we have the last person going to share experiences, and he'll be free to pick on colleagues to also share, or during the plenary, to share. We have FCP and Rory about the Kenya School of Government.
We have some representatives from Angola, if you could.
I'm told we have friends from Angola. The representatives from Angola? You just went? The young people from in Kenya may not remember. In 1975, we had 3 persons who were, when Angola was fighting for independence. Their founding president, Agostinho Neto, Holden Roberto, and Johannes Savimbi came to Mombasa when Kenya was trying to bring them together. When we had the worst colonial power that ever ruled Africa, Portugal. The people from Mozambique and Angola will tell you Caetano, the last ruler, was a very bad person. So Angola, then people in Angola, the MPLA and the others, UNITA, came to Mombasa. It's a pleasure having you from Angola. When you have a function in Angola, please make a point of visiting the beautiful city of that particular country, nice next to the sea. Andrew, FCPA and Rory will come and share with us the experience of the Kenya School of Government. He has a free slate on how he wants to present it. And Rory.
Thank you so much, our moderator this afternoon. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, our colleague panelists here, starting with my senior and colleague in the College of Fellows, DG Adad, and Executive Director Kagiso. It's an honor to have you, and it puts pressure on me to make this presentation, having listened to what is happening in the other quarters. But of importance for us is that this forum gives us an invaluable opportunity for us to reflect on our individual journeys, celebrate our achievements like what we are doing today, celebrating KSG at 100, and also discuss our challenges as institutions of public service and how we are going to strengthen our contributions in the government processes and across the region. Now, the Kenya School of Government, which we are celebrating 100 years, I think the story has been told in many versions. And I don't know whether I'll be in a good position to repeat the story. I think videos have been shared, and when we were sitting here, I think we were able to be reminded that this is an institution which has served a number of regimes. It served this country during the colonial period. It also picked up from 1963 up to where we are, and serving a number of presidents. I think that was also part of the video, from the founding president, Jomo Kenyatta, the second president, Daniel Arap Moi, the third president, Mwai Kibaki, the fourth president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and now the current president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Now, the school has quite a big regional presence. I think my colleagues presented the difference now with the School of Government and the changes which have happened over the years. We have quite a reach or fast reach in this country. From the coastal region, I think when the directors were being introduced, we have 2 institutions there, the KSG Mombasa and KSG Matuga. In the eastern region, we have the KSG Embu, and from the north lift of this country, we have KSG Baringo, and we have upcoming campuses. If you listened yesterday's speech from the Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Robert Ouko Institute in Kisumu, and also Vihiga campus, which will be in Nyanza and Western County. We also have reach in terms of empowerment centers. We have one in Tana River, and we also have one in Isiolo. And within the school, of course, not forgetting Wakabete, where the headquarters is. But within the school, we also have specialized delivery institutes, and the director, e-learning and information technology institute, IRITI. We have also the Institute for Devolution Studies. We have the Institute for Gender and Social Development. We also have the Public Service Governance and Ethics Institute. And we do have some also more specialized centers to address areas very specific as we go through the evolution of the public service, and also responding to the current demands in terms of our service delivery. We do have the Regional Center of Competence and Artificial Intelligence Skilling in partnership with the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, and also supported by UNDP. We also have the Center for Customer Service Excellence, and I believe the head of the center should be here. Yes, Madam Susan Chesang, thank you. We also have the Center for Environmental Governance and Management, and we do have a Center for Public Finance Management. So if you check the school, then it means that this is quite big, and our staff complement is quite big also. And I believe the HR and the Human Resource Development Manager is around, and that gives us a very big staff complement. So apart from that, we do appreciate that the school, and from the discussions you have been going on, that the school has undergone significant transformation over the years, and our journey from the discussions you've had has been deliberate, strategic, and guided by national priorities. And we do appreciate that today, as we sit here, our graduates over the years are quite many. Yesterday, we graduated over 1,200 in terms of the Diploma in Public Administration, and also the induction program for the Deputy County Commissioners and Undersecretaries in the Republic. And also we have some of the graduates of the leadership program for national transformation. And also we had other from our own staff in terms of recognition of prior learning. Every year, approximately, we train and certify close to 30,000 participants every year. But we do also have another arm, the conference. We have quite a big conference reach, and our conferences across all campuses can at any given time, if we take all of them combined, because every campus has a conference center, and if we take an average of about 500, then that will give us that at any given time we can comfortably host over 3,000 in our conference and accommodation facilities. Now, this is a sharing of experience, and I know I have quite a number of Vero directors here who can be able to share. But I want to reflect on a few things. Some of them, our colleagues have been able to bring it up, because KSG, as we have said, has actually evolved over time. And there are quite a number of things which we can be able to share. One of the things, maybe I don't know, but let's say about 5 to 6 things. One thing we do recognize and appreciate is that KSG, or the school, has had evolution through strategic transformation. So KSG has continuously evolved to respond to the changing needs of government and society. From the colonial period up to now, we have evolved from a traditional training institution, and we have transformed into a modern center of excellence in leadership development, policy research, consultancy and advisory services. Our programs are increasingly more responsive to emerging governance challenges and the evolving public service landscape. Initially, we had, and Senior Ngote has alluded to that yes, we had the Kenya Institute of Administration, but also we had the government training institutes, and which forms the campuses of the School of Government. And from the in-service training, which majorly has been our work, but we have been able to transform and serve the entire country. We are a national institution serving both the national and the devolved government units. So that has really changed our operations, especially from the time we got the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The second thing we need to appreciate, and from the presentations of Kin, when our colleague from Botswana Public Service College presented, and the Civil Service Institute, we do appreciate and we recognize that KSG is anchored on a robust legal and policy framework. The current form of KSG was informed by Vision 2030. Kenya School of Government is a flagship project for Vision 2030. But you see, we have been evolving over the years, and we are anchored on a legal instrument, which is an Act of Parliament. And I think this is something we have shared over time. What is the benefits of being anchored in an Act of Parliament and or a legal notice and the rest? So the Act of Parliament gives us some level of stability in terms of our operations and some level of security in terms of the changes in the government over the years. So an Act of Parliament spells out the mandate of the school. And more so, we know we have been doing a lot of in training, which is usually the capacity building of retooling and the public service to be able to deliver on their various mandates. But also, we have been able to carry out consultant services, which is aimed at providing solutions to the various challenges faced by the public sector institutions. We do also carry out the research function. I know Botswana presented that. Our research function is for policy driven, that is leading to advisory services in the government. And our research is usually a coordinated platform where we do have agreed areas of research for a given financial year. And then we have that taken through the motions up to having a conference on the school commission research, and then we are able to develop policy briefs for the government. We do also offer outreach services. Those who have been sitting in from yesterday or this morning, you were able to see a video presentation in terms of our Under the Tree series, where we are able to go to the grassroots and be able to share. Our training arm has quite a number of programs. I know I can say roughly that we have in any given financial year over 100 programs, and we have them in our training calendar, and it's available online for all our stakeholders. That anchorage, the institutional development has really been strong for us, and the Act gives us the necessary support even from the government in terms of financing, and this helps us in terms of our governance and policy framework. And the structures are well defined, and we are able to get the strategic direction, which is able to guide us and enable us to deliver the quality capacity development programs while remaining accountable to the government and the citizens whom we serve. So that framework is very important for us. The third thing I want to recognize that our operations are actually founded on Kenya's public service competence framework. The country has a competence framework, and this competence framework gives us the platform for which we are able to define the strength of our programs and align with the Kenya public service requirements. So this ensures that our training interventions are competence-based, demand-driven and focused on equipping public officers with the knowledge, skills, values, and behaviors which are required to deliver results in an increasingly dynamic operating environment. And we do always carry out training needs assessment, which informs the kind of programs we have. So over here, the programs evolve, and we are able to have new programs addressing 4 key areas. In our competence framework, we have the core competencies which every public servant is expected to uphold. Then we also have the technical competencies based on the areas of specialization. We also have the managerial competencies and the leadership competencies. So our training and our services revolves around that competence framework, which is the one guiding the entire public service. Over time, this has been very valuable, and with the changes expected in terms of leadership and the demands, then also the framework is evolving to be able to address the emerging issues. And that brings me to the 4th area where Kenya School of Government has also been able to do well, and that is responsive to the national development priorities. Most of the time, and those who have gone through the school will realize that our curriculum and learning interventions are continuously aligned with the government's development agenda, including currently the bottom-up economic transformation agenda of the current government. But of course, the umbrella is the Vision 2030. And yesterday, we had a lengthy discussion on how we move, what are the preconditions, and even this morning about the policy shifts expected to transform the country. So these national development plans, the constitutional imperatives which guide us, and the public sector reforms, looking at both the national and the county governments, forms the foundation for our operations. So this ensures that the learning and our activities directly contributes to the improved policy implementation and the service delivery in the country. The other area which I can highlight, which has also been key to our transformation, is commitment to innovation and digital learning. I know this is an area which has been there, but it was amplified more in this country and across the globe during the COVID-19. And we were able to really transform and digitize most of our programs from the face-to-face training to the e-learning platform. We have a very, very robust learning management system, and that we have our whole institute on e-learning and basically information technology. So recognizing the changing nature of the learning, KSG has embraced technology and innovation through blended learning. We have participants who attend programs online, and they are able to attend part of the training in the school, especially for our main career growth programs. That is the supervisory skills development, the senior management course, and the strategic leadership development program. We have the e-learning platforms, and with our RCOC, we have the virtual classrooms, the digital resource centers, and modern instructional methodologies which have been embraced. So these innovations have expanded access, enhancing learning outcomes, and strengthened the institutional resilience. The other one I need to recognize, and that one brings all of us together here, the school every leverages on strategic partnerships and knowledge exchange. And indeed, we were able to have the first Schools of Government Conference, I think, is it 2023? 2023. And we actually participate in AMDIN, the African Management Development Institutional Network. And I think at one time, our Director General was the chair or the president of that team. And our growth have been strengthened through collaboration with schools of government, universities, development partners, regional institutions, and international networks. And so these partnerships facilitate benchmarking, joint research, faculty exchange, and that's why I was able to attend the CSI we have those arrangements with other institutions, and I think the director, linkages and collaborations, can be able to check that. We were told we have signed so many MOUs across Africa, and this has assisted us to benchmark and be able to have that exchange and sharing of innovative practices that have enriched our programs and broadened our perspectives. And of importance again is that we have had continuous improvement and institutional excellence, and we do remain committed to quality assurance, continuous curriculum review, evidence-based research, performance management, which FCPA rating was talking about, and we do recognize that building capable government requires institutions that themselves are committed to learning, innovation, accountability, and continuous improvement. So as I move to the end, what am I looking at? So as we celebrate the 100 years, we do appreciate that schools of government have become even more critical. We are operating in an era defined by rapid technological change, artificial intelligence, climate challenges, demographic shifts. We're talking about the Gen Z and the rest here. I know our moderator was identified as a baby boomer, and also the issues to do with evolving citizen expectations. I think we have a lot of demands in this country about public participation and also increasing complex policy environments. So the public servants of tomorrow will require not only technical competence, but also agility, innovation, ethical leaderships, systems thinking, and ability to collaborate across sectors and borders. So as Kenya School of Government, we envision a future where, as a school, we are not merely providers of training, but strategic partners in national transformation. So as a school, we must become center of excellence that generate knowledge, shape the public policy, nurture ethical leaders, drive innovation, and provide evidence-based solutions to our governments. I submit. Thank you so much.
Andrew has given you a summary of what this school does. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move, could you join me in recognizing the arrival of Director, Kenya School of Government, Professor Nura Muhammad. Professor, we had a nice afternoon about the Association of Schools of Government. We have this representation here, and allow me now in your presence to announce to the audience here that the Kenya School of Government runs a joint program with the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration and the South African National School of Government. This is a program we run for top leadership. And it's my pleasure then to introduce Mr. Bamfoke from South Africa. Ms. Bamfoke from South Africa, representing the DG, will be arriving tomorrow. South Africa. She's just arrived. Please welcome her. Their Director General will be joining the DG in our session tomorrow. So then we will ask him to say something about how they have evolved tomorrow morning. Can I seek you just a consultation here, MC? Maybe with the permission of the DG and Mr. Rory was presenting, just for the other persons who are presenting here, the Kenya School of Government programs target everybody in the public service from cabinet to the lowest level of employees. They are the diplomats of the Republic of Kenya, people from the defense forces, intelligence services, the devolved units of government are our course participants. We also have programs that bring on board, because of the issue of public engagement, citizens. The Under the Tree series, those are our participants. So our programs are not just confined to public employees. When there is need, the school has a free slate to intervene and design programs and other interventions to address those developmental needs. It's my pleasure and privilege now, ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud them as we invite the MC to then have engagement from the audience. Tuwashangilie hawa wote. Bwana DG, Professor Leting has disclosed that you are schoolmates at the School of Business.
Thank you very much, Senior Faculty, Mr. Simon Angote, for guiding us through that very insightful session. And a proper round of applause to our panelists, representing Botswana, Mr. Kahiso, representing Somaliland, Mr. Assad, representing KASNEB, Professor Leting, and of course representing the Kenya School of Government, Director Andrew. Asanteni sana, please take your seats. But before you leave the stage, I would like to call upon the Director for Partnerships and Collaborations, Dr. Priska, to please hand the gifts to our Director General, who has just joined us. We're very grateful for your presence. To say thank you to our guest in style, the KSG style. We are celebrating 100 years of transforming nations through public service. A round of applause as he goes on stage.
So, Professor, sorry, Prof, if you can give. So, Professor Leting. So, in fact, I've told Daniel that he must get your full recording. You did so. So, the first was Professor Leting. Professor Leting is our first guest here. Thank you very much. A round of applause. From Somalia Civil Service Institute, Somaliland. And here I am making the same mistake. And from Botswana, and for this segment, also to Mr. Simon Angote, the moderator. Mr. Andrew Rory has been selfless. He says he's the host, so you can give him a hug.
Asante sana, Director, for handling that. We're now moving on to the engagement session. I know we said 4, but because it has been very engaging and exciting, I'm assuming you'll give us 15 more minutes just to handle your feedback, your questions, if there are any, or your thoughts on some of the issues that were raised. So we will have 15, not more than 15 minutes for questions. So let's take the first 5. Do we have any from this side? Oh, we have a lady here. Okay. There's a mic.
Thank you very much. My name is Susan Chesang. I'm a faculty member here at the school, and at the same time, I'm heading a Center of Excellence, Customer Service Excellence. So my question goes to Professor FCPA Leting. So, Prof, you've challenged the school to move from preparing public administrators to building a state-capable leaders of tomorrow. So, Prof, as the school moves towards the next century, what one transformative shift would you tell the school to put in place to ensure that these public servants are AI-enabled, they're ethical, they're innovative-driven, and globally competitive as we move towards the next century of the school?
Any other questions? So we take all the questions together. Okay, please pass on the mic to her.
Good afternoon. My name is Tabitha from Masinde Muliro University. A graduate of yesterday. Professor Nura, you still owe me a present. I can't forget like that. It can't pass down the water. So my concern is to our brother from Somaliland. You talked about harmonizing policies for implementation. I believe in our country, Kenya, we have the best policies, but we have a problem in implementation. Kindly share with us how you are able to implement your policies for better performance. Thank you.
Pass on the mic to the lady next to you. I guess this is the ladies' session. Sorry, Director, we'll get to you shortly.
So good afternoon. I just want to ask two questions to Botswana. Botswana has been recognized in Africa as the least corrupt country. And maybe you could just share your experiences, how that promotes productivity, since that's what your center does. The second question was, you just did a symposium on promoting dignity in the workplace. Kenya is currently considering ratifying Convention 190. I believe Botswana already has. Tell us your experiences, how ratifying that convention can help against bullying, for example, in the workplace. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is CS Dr. David Sergon from the Kenya School of Government. I want to appreciate the presenters for their input. I want to address our CEO from GASNEP, Professor Leting. And I'm aware that there are common issues across the schools in Africa. One of them is the purpose, which is to empower public service, and the other one is corruption. And I think CEO from Somali ably say that corruption is actually common across the African nations, and therefore this is something that we need to address as schools of Africa. And CASNEP is, of course, tasked with our accountants and our certified secretaries, and I'm one of them who has done it, and there was a small bit of governance. I don't know, there was some change in curricula. I don't know how deep you were able to perhaps maybe embed matters to do with integrity, matters to do with accountability, so that when we train our staff through that process, we're able to at least empower them through having that. And again, I often see governors struggling at the Senate to explain matters to do with infractions, and to the extent that the committee, Senate committee, sometimes pronounce that the CPS, who are supposed to be the accounting officers at the Treasury, needed to be sanctioned. So I don't know whether you'll be able to receive a list of CPS to be sanctioned, or it is just a lip service that we mention at the Senate for public to hear, and it ends there. The other thing that I want to share, maybe commonly for all of our schools in Africa, we realize that we are using what we call associate facilitators in other countries. In Kenya, we're using adjunct. And of course, we've got the faculty. I don't know, as we address, as Prof talked about Adrakoji, which is of course adult learning. And they mentioned earlier in, I think, Botswana, that they do some TOT. I don't know whether we have within our guideline policies that address the quality assurance that any faculty member, whether associate, adjunct, must have done a TOT to upskill on how to address adult learning. Because even if you are a teacher who has done pedagogy, the landscape is different when you're addressing adult learning. So I don't know across the schools whether we've made it mandatory or it is what we call an advantageous piece of qualification that we have. The other issue that I want to ask to address is the issue of the space of research as a component of resources in these schools. Maybe you could share how we can be able to, or your views on the position of research as a mainstream item in our core functions, because I feel we could do a lot of research and make more money than even what we do from the training. And finally, for the KSG, as we move into the second century after these 100 years, the question will be, what should we retain and what should we drop for the future of the public service? I submit.
Thank you for the presenters, for the wonderful presentations. My name is Elizabeth Owino. I head the Training and Business Development Docket. My question goes to our counterpart from Botswana. I heard you mention that your programs are free. I'm interested in establishing how you manage and what is the funding framework for the programs that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel Kisiangani. Sorry I came in a bit late, but I was following online for some of the presentation. I'm the Acting Director, Security Management Institute. My question is similarly directed to our colleague from Botswana. I heard you mention very good training products that you have, and wanted just to understand, how do you ensure that those trainings are translating to impact? How do you tell that what you are training on is actually resulting in impact? And also helpful, you also mentioned a bit about research. If you could speak to that, how do you ensure that your research products are actually taken up by or consumed by relevant policymakers? Thank you.
We'll take it straight to the panelists because of time to get to the answer to the questions.
Thank you very much. I was struggling to hear some of the questions, but I'll try to make out. The issue of corruption, it continues to be a topical issue in the country. The more government fights or fortifies the fight against corruption, the more corrupt activities emerge. As at now, there's ongoing thoughts by government to give the DCEC, that's Directorate on Corruption and Economic Activity, and Economic Crime, sorry. Government is working on giving the department more independence, because most of the time the DCEC is perceived to be obstructed by some high-placed officials within government, simply because the DCEC is too entrenched in government. So we are hoping this transformation will bring about the necessary improvement in fighting corruption. In terms of what it means to our productivity, obviously the less the corruption, the more the economy is enhanced. And if the economy is enhanced, the likelihood of the citizenry to be happier and to desist from corruption, petty corruption, and the corruption at a higher level. So at the moment, it is an issue that is being addressed aggressively by government. There's the issue of bullying in the workplace. I hope I understood the question well. In terms of what is happening in the recent past, in the recent year, year or two, these cases of bullying in the workplace have risen to a point where they are becoming issues of debate across the radio stations. So that is why we started particularly with that topic, to try to help to address that. The other question is how do we survive when we are running our programs for free? For some time we were surviving, but it has reached a point where we need to look elsewhere for resources to be able to cope. The understanding here has been that the ministries get funded to sponsor their own people to the college without, how do I put it? The ministries don't give money to the college. The ministries send their people to the college. That cost is absorbed by the various ministries, and then we just teach them. But we've come up with some new ways of generating income so that we can intensify or expand our training beyond public servants, beyond state-owned entities. The last question, the trainings that we give, how do we ensure that they translate to impact? We do conduct through the training officers in the various ministries and SOEs. We do conduct post-training, what do we call it? Yeah, after every training, we facilitate feedback from the trainees and feedback from the ministries, departments, and agencies. And then we bring that together to try to improve our quality so that it keeps on contributing positively to delivery of the public servants. I hope I've answered all the questions that were directed at me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I was luckily asked one question by a sister. It was in fact based on that Kenya government actually produces a lot of high quality policies, but when it comes to realizing those policies into action, it's very critical. I think that was the case. So as we are more familiar with when it comes to public policy, a public policy itself is firstly the means that government responds to public needs. So to be able to realize this, there are three basic things that before the policy is developed, the government should ensure it is able to. The first one is, the government, the policy itself must be a bottom-up. The need must come from the community. It must come from the people who are in need, and it must be a need-based. The second thing is that the policy, when it comes to policy development, it must not be ambitious. It must be very smart, something that can be realized. And the third thing is that the government must be able to enforce the policy in terms of resource and in terms of laws and the legal issues, as well as in terms of the competence, the people who are able to do it. So once those three things are secured, then the policy implementation will be simple. And that's what I want to recommend to everybody in the public sector, to ensure that when we are developing the policies, we must ensure that the policy must come from the need of our people. It must not be ambitious, it must be smart, something that we can realize. And we must ensure that we have the ability, resource and people and the laws, legal frameworks that we should enforce. So these are, I think, I've addressed the answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think my questions were many, and some of the answers have been given by my colleagues there. The question from Jesang on how we can convert the institution to become a very transformative institution that is able to match the 21st century requirements of the civil servants. I think you're already doing something positive around it. I'm aware that you have been, the school has been having this vision of African School of Government. if only we can make it better and empower the staff, the employees, the young people who will be joining the profession, the school in the future, so that you're able to have all categories of employees. You remember we have said baby boomers, they are Gen X, like myself, and the DG, and then we have the Gen Y, the millennials, and then the Gen Z people. Ensure that all of them have gone through some level of training that is relevant for the school. Because remember, the school is meant to support the school, the African School of Government. And I'm happy that in this meeting, we have a number of international delegates who have come from South Africa, from Somaliland, and the surrounding countries in Africa. So to my mind, the best thing to do is to be able to have continuous lifelong learning. One of my proposals in my presentation, DG, was about lifelong learning and starts from the top to the last person. Issues of cross-functional partnerships and all that. The future of the school, for example, will be more of collaboration. I usually meet Peter Quest looking for partners locally and globally. And I think that's the spirit of the school in the future. You might need to continue to look more for partners, both from local, maybe within the county, within the nation, countries of Kenya. Various counties have a lot of money for training, capacity building. Perhaps if there is a structured manner in which you do that. Even us in public sector, the parastatals also have a lot of training budgets that we could. Personally, I sent a lot of my staff members for training here for strategic leadership development, senior management course, transformative leadership, among others. And I think for me, that is the way to do. Now, there was a question that came from, I think, how do you measure performance? How do we measure the impact? I think it came from one of the guests there. How do you measure the impact of training on productivity and performance of the institutions and persons? To my mind, I think the best thing is to be able to measure, probably get to undertake an online assessment of the staff before they come for training. And subsequent to that, probably 3 to 6 months, continuously undertake an assessment. This assessment should be able to look at the improvement in emotional intelligence, issues to do with efficiency, turnaround time in maybe customer service for the case of Chesang there. How efficient are the customer service after training? And that can be tied together. It can be integrated to performance management system that you have. So that if there's a continuous improvement, probably we can reward. When a DG, you reward some of the best staff members. I am a strong believer of rewarding good performance and results. I know the school is focused on performance management. One of the things you can train on and probably start off from this institution is undertake an award system. I used to work at Kenya Institute of Management, and we used to have an event, and Banangwate mentioned Company of the Year Award, and where we used to reward organizations that showed improvement in performance, profitability, people management, and we would also reward CEOs, managers, employees of the year of organization. So perhaps in a simple way, you can consider such kind of active processes that can enable the employees to be to grow professionally and their careers. CS Sergon, very well. Thank you very much. I think you are a good product and a good student of CS. Certified Secretary is a qualification that started from Kenya School of Government, the then Kenya Institute of Administration. I said in 1969, CASNEP was established here. And 2 qualifications that were administered at that time was the Certified Public Accountant of Kenya and the Certified Public Secretary. And I'm very happy to see if we can sign MOU so that when I see DG, all the staff members who are interested to pursue that particular course. In that course, in addition to what you do here, we have embedded integrity, accountability, and boardroom dynamics, financial management, all those courses so that they can improve the understanding of the people. Then you have mentioned about andragogy. Yes, I agree. The learning of adults is different from learning of young people. And I'm sure you know that. So more of andragogy, training of trainers is the way to go. You cannot be a trainer if you are not. I've gone for several training of trainer workshops myself as a trainee, and that's why I think I've been retained occasionally by the school to assist in some of the programs to administer there. Research, I think that's the way to go. You could probably look for funding in terms of supporting the research, or even look for a budget within the organization to set out that research. So I will propose that between the school and CASNEP, we could undertake a joint research on the impact of training on performance and productivity. I'm aware about 2-3 weeks ago, His Excellency the President was launching the productivity initiatives in this place, and with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. So they start space where you can continuously improve the civil servants' productivity and performance through what is called monitoring and evaluation. And it is normally said, what gets measured gets done. So we all know that if we measure performance of our employees, productivity will go high, efficiency will be higher, and the customer service will be higher. I think that's what I managed to record, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I think a number of questions have been responded to. I think the question which was asked by Kisiangani, I don't know whether I would be in a good position to respond to that. This is a Kenya School of Government now a discussion, and having the Director General around, because Kisiangani was saying, what should we, I don't know whether it's Kisiangani or Dr. Sergon, in terms of what should we entertain and what should we drop. I think this is hard, but I will give my personal views, but I know we have the leadership of the school here, the directors are here. For me, if we look at what we need to stop, I know we need to look at all the mandates of school as one coherent goal we need to achieve, so that there should not be a gap between training, research, consultancy, and advisory. We should see it as in very holistic way, and what I'm looking at is integrate them so that research informs our teaching, and consultancy generates what I may look at the practical learning for the public sector. The other thing I'm looking at is that, and this is in line with the thinking and the dynamic nature of our environment, that we have been focusing in the current public servants, but maybe how do we build the leadership pipelines? And this has been really a dream, and I think we have been driving that, engaging the young professionals and the emerging government leaders, so that we are able to create that public service of the future. That's something I think we may want to rethink and maybe stop and be able to. But what we need to start doing, and I think we have been doing it, but I would want us to expand our executive advisory services. And when I say expand, because here I want us to position KSG as a trusted think tank. And this one means that we are able to provide policy advice, foresight studies, and strategic support for the 2 levels of government. So I may want us to look at that. And the other thing which I think my colleagues have talked about, measuring the impact. We need really to invest much and shifting from looking at the outputs and looking at more of the outcomes and the impact, which are more long-term. And then we need to create that knowledge repository. I know we are doing it, but we can be able to do better. And based on what we launched yesterday, then I also need that we need to strengthen our public sector innovation lab. And we are looking at our leadership lab in the Raila Amolo Odinga Leadership Academy. Thank you.
Just on behalf of this group, and Andrew, maybe is a discussion we can carry forward, that our training programs must now move from delivery of knowledge and skills to preparing people for statecraft, management of public affairs. people who come here, everybody is blaming us for not, we don't see the change. It's about people who come having a responsibility to manage affairs of the state and our international relations. Now, on behalf of the team that I was privileged to moderate here, I want to say thank you for the opportunity you have given to us. We hope we have, in our sharing experiences, we have looked at how schools of government are empowering the public service of the 21st century and beyond. And that in our discussions, if you are here on reflection, you have been convinced that as we had the theme for this building national wealth and global competitiveness, that through our actions as schools of government, we contribute towards building national wealth and global competitiveness. We therefore want to convince ourselves, and we hope the audience is convinced, that our discussions have convinced each one of us that schools of government contribute towards national wealth and global competitiveness. Thank you so much for listening to us, and join me in appreciating this group here. MC will do the final regional for us. You can dismiss us.
They deserve a better round of applause. Thank you very much. Moderator Angote, you've done a stellar job. Thank you, Professor Leting. Thank you, Director Rory. Thank you very much, Mr. Mahmoud from Hargeisa in Somaliland. Thank you very much, Mr. Kahiso from Botswana, the land of Tebogo, if you watch athletics. Well, I thank you also very much for your active participation, and probably I should request the Director for Partnerships and Collaboration, whether we should have a gift tomorrow for the most active participant. Because I think Dr. Saigon has really been a very active participant today. He deserves a round of applause. And interesting conversations today, just to quickly highlight as we prepare to finish the centenary celebrations tomorrow. And one of the sessions tomorrow, we will be having Professor Wanjohi, and he really jolted our minds this morning, talking about the Navigation Act. That is one thing I will remember, 1651. So this is definitely a session you do not want to miss out on. We will be covering that on the session on resource mobilization, strategic to building national wealth and global competitiveness, which also has really been part of our conversations today. So thank you very much for your patience, your active participation, and also to NYS in absentia. They really entertained us. I hope tomorrow we can have the band and the choir so that we can finish these celebrations in style. Thank you very much, Director General, for making time to be with us this afternoon. We hope to see you tomorrow. You have a wonderful afternoon and evening ahead. My name is Risian Lebai.
"100 years of shaping leaders. 100 years of strengthening institutions. 100 years of transforming public service.
The public service of Kenya should reward results, not routine. Impact, not attendance. We must stop measuring time spent and start measuring value created. What matters is not how long a public servant sits at the desk, but how much difference that public servants make in the life of a citizen. For us to make progress, we must not continue to make peace with mediocrity.
100 pamoja.
100 pamoja.
100 pamoja.
Now, the next century begins.
We are now celebrating not just excellence, transformation, agility, efficiency in the public sector, but we will be reflecting on the future of the public service as we support His Excellency the President to realize the vision of moving from the third world country to the first world country, our journey to Singapore.
Join us from the 6th to 8th July as the Kenya School of Government marks 100 years of excellence with 3 days of dialogue, innovation, reflection, and a shared vision for the future of leadership and public service. A century of excellence in public service, building leaders, transforming nations.
Hii mpango ya Kenya School of Government ya Under the Tree series kabisa ina align na maisha yetu ya pastoralists. Kwanza sisi mambo yetu mingi, hata leo hii MCA wetu akija Oldonyero akiwa na ujumbe, the first thing wazee watamwambia wacha tupeleke chini ya mti. So sisi kama jamii we want to say thank you because that is the missing link.
Program kama hii Under the Tree series, hii ndio tunatumia kwa mikutano zetu kama kuweza kupeleka awareness mambo mingi, tunatumia Under the Tree. Na tunasema NGOs ama ile mikutano mingi ambayo inafanyika kwa mambo ya usalama inafanyika kwa mahoteli, tungependa iletwe Under the Tree. Hao kina mama wafundishwe.
Sisi ni pastoralist community. Kila swala ama ukitafuta majibu ya vitu lazima ukuje tukutane chini ya miti. Sisi lazima tufike kwa wananchi hapa nyinyi ili tujadiliane na tukubaliane maneno mengi tu mlisema hapa ambayo tutachukua na tutapeleka huku mbele ili usaidizi ipatikane. Because ndo sababu inaitwa Under the Tree series.